So happy to be here. It is a Friday in late to mid-December, mid to late December, and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to kind of figure life, work, everything out to find a chance to sit down in between my last episode and the end of the year, and I'm just so glad to be making space and time for it and to be here and to do something kind of festive. I really, really love the holiday season. I was at a gathering recently where the host asked everyone to kind of go around and as part of introducing themselves to say what they liked or loved or appreciated most about the holidays. Or the close of the year, the solstice. And I realized that for me, what I value most is this kind of intentional gratitude. And in the US, we have Thanksgiving, which is kind of the beginning of that moment. But I really do think that kind of taking care and showing our appreciation is really something that I love the most about this time of year. And it happens in really little ways when people greet each other, but it also happens in more meaningful ways that people kind of take the time to slow down and express appreciation. So that's what I love most about this time of year, as well as it being just like so crafty. It's so crafty. This is a knitting podcast. Sorry, I thought that I should have said that at the top. I am a art curator based in the Bay Area, and I also am a voracious knitter. I love the craft of knitting and everything related to fiber arts, and so on the Curatorial Knits Knitting Podcast, I talk to no one and everyone at the same time about my love for this craft. Today, I'm going to, it's kind of a bit of a grab bag. I am going to be chatting about kind of in the traditional podcasty way, a little show and tell about what I'm currently working on and what I've kind of finished up. And then I'm going to be talking about everything on my needles. So I wanted to do a WIP down, kind of everything that I was actively working on, which I did at the end of last year. And if you go check out last year's video, I think you should be I'm feeling quite chuffed, quite pleased with myself that I pared it down so well. I don't think I will be at empty needles by the end of the year, but I'm gonna be very close and I'm gonna be fine with the things that are still active. So that feels very good. So we'll do a little WIP down. And then I am gonna do a little bit of a New Year plotting and planning. And I'd very much like your feedback and I don't know, I get so many great ideas from the comment section of these videos. And if you have not yet explored the comment section, I think most videos have like between 50 and 150 comments, and there's some really cool conversations in there all about what projects people are working on, what they like, what is kind of challenging for them, and then of course all the recommendations that you guys have for me and my projects. Definitely check out the comment section because it's so helpful and the people are so lovely. So recommend that. And I would very much like your activity there on this episode as I think about plans for the new year, because I realized that especially the last few months, I've been really focused on what I was currently working on and getting out a couple new ideas. And so I haven't really been as like tuned in to new patterns. And so yes, very much looking for that feedback. And then I'm gonna go through another roundup, and that's gonna be all of my favorite knitting podcasts. So these are the folks who I get excited whenever I see that they posted a new video. Some of them I'm sure will be familiar to you, but I think some of them might be fresh and kind of fun. And I think that they deserve attention. And I may also have forgotten someone, I'm sure. I watch a ton of knitting podcasts, but these are definitely the standouts, the ones that I know I look for on there whenever they update. And then at the end, I did not a like proper vlog at all, but I just kind of compiled some of my favorite moments from the last few weeks. You guys know, if you've watched before, that I have my women's group favorite things party. I have a little clip from that. I have some just like moments that have been really nice and peaceful here at the house, getting our tree set up, which was so fun and lovely. And then what else? Yeah, I think I'll throw in a couple of scenes from the events we've had at the art gallery. I work at Hausfeld Gallery, which is a contemporary and historical gallery in San Francisco. We represent artists, some Bay Area kind of historical estate-based artists, and then also artists actively working in the Bay and around the world. So we have a really global reach, and we had a lot of events in the last few weeks. Towards the close of the year, we opened 2 new shows and had a lot of talks, and so I was very much busy with my work, which was great and kind of exciting. So I'll throw in a few images of that. And what else? I don't know, just some bits and bobs and some funny moments that I thought would be worth sharing with some cheesy holiday tunes, if that's your vibe, because it's definitely my vibe right now. And it'll be a little curated, if you will, selection. So first up, I'm wearing the cloud sweater by Petite Knit. It is not done. It does not have sleeves. Gotcha! But it just happens to match perfectly with this great long sleeve shirt that I have from Bowden. And to everyone who told me to block it, of course you were right. Of course you were right. It is fab. I'm gonna kind of get up close and personal so you guys can see the stitch work. It totally, and I didn't even do a full wet block. I just did a steam block, and I did it like an hour ago, and it looks so good. It's hanging beautifully. And it is like, there's definitely some scruff, but it's nowhere near kind of where it was and what my fears were for it. It's more like bumpy and rustic and cozy. And I will also say, oh sorry, I am backlit, but you know, whatever. The color is looking really right on, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. So the pattern is the cloud sweater by Petite Knit. I added the collar, which took me like a half an hour. This is knitting up so quickly. I just have to like power through and put on my sleeves. See, it's on both on both sides. But I kind of, okay, now that I'm looking at this, I really like how, I don't know, I might go, well, it's gonna be like a straight sleeve, but I kind of like that look right now. Anyway, the yarn is the Lamb and Kids Big Birdie, which is I think heavier than DK, even weight, Surrey silk yarn. So it's like a chunky Surrey. And I had been a little bit nervous about how the stitches were looking, and I was worried. It wasn't even that it was rowing out in the back. It was like, it just wasn't feeling like pristine. But with the block, it's really laying much more beautifully, and it's giving me some drape. So I love on a drop shoulder how you get this crease when it works properly, and that's what I'm getting. So it's really being able to move, getting that fabric kind of flowing and draping, and also frankly the hand worked out really beautifully too, so it feels very soft, plumped right up. Thank you. Oh, ye, and by ye I mean me, of little faith. It's really nice to have on. I'm technically calling this a finished object. I know it's not a finished object, but I'm so close. I just have to put sleeves on, and I may even wear this to go pick up my kid because it's working for me, and I'm really liking it. I'm liking the vibe, and I'm also really liking this little rolled collar, which looks nice. The other thing I wanted to talk about, which is not something I recently finished, but I got some comments on my Ravel. I finally put up a project page on Ravelry for our the Christmas stockings that I made many moons ago, before my knitting renaissance. And I finally made a project page of those on Ravelry. I had posted them on Instagram a few years ago. But yeah, I thought I might talk through that project a little bit because it's one of my favorite holiday projects that I've ever made. And it was before I had this podcast. So this is the classic, sorry, I'm gonna get this right, just a second. I have like extensive notes for this episode. The classic, okay, sorry, modern, let me get that right, okay. The Modern Classics Christmas Stocking, and it was originally in a Knit Picks publication. And the way it works is you get charts for a contemporary version of the same stitch counts and a classic version, and the pattern itself is the same. And so you get to choose kind of which motifs you put where. I went mostly with the classics, and then I pulled in a couple different motifs from the contemporary. And this is my daughter's. I might get her name there. And it's knit in, there's something, oh, I know what's in there. There's some lavender sachets in the foot that my daughter put in all of them. And it's knit in yarn I bought, I think it's all Malabrigo, and it's all DK, and it's all super, super soft, and it has no business really being in a stocking, but it is beautiful, and I love it. And I really liked how it all knit up together. And this was the first time, so the very first one of these I made for my husband, whose family did not, they celebrated Christmas, but they didn't have stockings. It just wasn't part of their family tradition. And so I knit him a stocking using this pattern. It was the first time I had ever knit with two colors. Here, should I pull that out? Yeah, just for fun. Okay. This is fun being down here. Okay, so this is the OG, and it's just two colors. And I remember I was sitting in my childhood home, the house I grew up in, and I was knitting this in probably 2007, maybe. And I was like, this is weird when you hold two yarns. Maybe I'll try one in each hand. And I didn't know anything about knitting, and I ended up figuring it out. And I think this is such, you know, I didn't do another Colorwork anything until I made a sweater almost, and that was 15 years later, literally. Yeah. So I just think that there's some times when we kind of hold ourselves back a little bit with our knitting, or like we feel there's this moment, there's this great thing, this is how I'll rephrase this, sorry. There's this great thing about being a true beginner where you don't let anything stop you. You don't know what you don't know, so you just go for it. And this project was really about that. And so then when my daughter was born, I made her version, and I did multicolors. And this is where I mixed in a different motif here. I really like this one down here. It's really fun. And it was just a total joy to not know, in a way, and just kind of figure things out. So if there's something that you've never done before, I think like having beginner's mindset, and I may have talked about this before, but this is the project that for me like really exemplifies it the most. Sorry, there is a little bell on my husband, so you've been hearing that jingle. Anyway, so I really recommend this pattern. I think it's a great first Colorwork pattern because it doesn't have to fit anyone. You don't really have to worry about your gauge. I clearly didn't. You know, you can just use whatever yarn you have on hand with whatever needles you have on hand. I made both of these using double pointed needles before I knew about short circulars, but you could definitely do short circulars with these and whip them out really quickly. I think it's just a great pattern. There's a ton of them on Ravelry. And yes, I really recommend it so much. Again, that's the Modern Classics Christmas Stocking, and the link to that and all of the links will be in the description box below. There's also, yeah, there's gonna be some fun stuff in the description box this time around. Okay, so anyway, a little trip down memory lane, but some of my favorite festive objects, and something that we'll talk about later, but I'm really missing color work on my nails right now, so I need to have some ideas. This is where I'm gonna look for your feedback in a bit. Okay, next up, I guess we'll do like just full WIP down, and we'll end with my upcoming pattern, sweater pattern, garment release. Yikes, so fun, really exciting. But I have a couple other projects that are in the WIP queue that we should just like, let's just be honest about it. Okay. Oh, well, project bag holding some lip gloss. I was kind of wondering where that was. Great, might use that later. Okay, so sorry, I was interrupted, but I was talking about my beginner's welcome knit this time for the first time, not in the ritual dyes, elder and mohair, and I will just take a moment to say that Ritual is having a Rambouillet make-along, and the kits for the beginner's welcome hat are available on their website. They include the Rambouillet, and if you get the kit and use the Rambouillet, you can be qualified to like enter all their drawings and stuff that they're doing. I love the Ritual Dyes community online. They're on Ravelry and Instagram. They're amazing. Kits will be linked below. And another really fun link below is that for all of you folks who are like, I need to do a last minute knit, I am putting the pattern on sale. So there will be a discount code below. It's just last minute, no spaces, all caps. And if you put that in on Ravelry, you'll get 20% off of the beginner's welcome hat pattern. And yeah, it's just for all my favorite, you know, last minute gifters, or if you're someone who just needs something small, palette cleansing, something to keep you busy while people are chatting, that you don't have to pay much attention to. I really want to just, you know, get it out there for the Christmas season. So that discount code and link to the pattern are also below. It has been so much fun to see the patterns that have come out recently, or the expressions of the pattern that have come out recently. I'm gonna put a photo right here of one that just posted yesterday on Instagram. It is amazing. The knitter, who I'm sorry, I've forgotten the name, but I will put it here and I will link to her post below as well. The knitter used she made 3 hats, and then she used one consistent main color and thicker yarn, and then held 3 different fluffy yarns, 3 different fluffy yarns with the main color yarn for 3 different hats. And it's so fun to see that change and transformation, what the fabric looks like, what the colors do, of course, but also like the different drapes that you can get and the different expressions of the pattern and the yarns. So inspiring. I really have loved like seeing what people are making. Has been very, very fun. And also it's like the perfect time of year for the project. So I think it really makes sense that there's been such a groundswell of the pattern. Again, link below, and just use last minute, no spaces, all caps at checkout on Ravelry. And I'm gonna keep it going through, I think Hanukkah starts the 25th, maybe the 24th. I forget. I know it starts either the 24th or 25th. And we'll keep the discount up until December 29th. So yeah, December 29th, or yeah, we'll do the 29th. I was gonna say 28th, but yeah, December 29th, 2024. And then, yeah, it'll be so fun. I'm so excited. So anyway, beginner's welcome hat, just about the best, fastest gift knit, and keep your hands busy while your friends and family are chatting as well. Knit. So I need to finish this. I don't know why I haven't. Oh, I know why. Because I'm working on my first garment pattern. Anyway, so this is WIP Down number 1, to be honest. Like, just has to get done. Very easy, breezy, beautiful. This will definitely be done by the end of the year. Oh, that's what I should do. Okay, accountability post. I will put up a, like, what I made in 2024, you know, summary video. Sure, yes, of course, I love it. I will also film, and like I will try to do it in early January, to see where I am like actually at the close. Because this I think I can finish by the end of the year. This is gonna happen. Okay, done. Sure, got it. Next up we have, what should I do next? Okay, pressed flowers, still need sleeves. Did I think I was gonna do it during the Mosaic knit along with Young Folk Knits? Yes, I did. Did I? No, I didn't. If this is your first time seeing it, this is my pressed flowers cardigan. It's so pretty. It's so pretty. I love it so much. It's so pretty. Is it done? No. Does it? All it needs sleeves. Yes. I have great buttons for it. I have everything I need for it. The needles are all ready to go. I don't know, man. I guess part of me might be putting off doing it in the round. I shouldn't. It shouldn't matter. It should be, you know, easy, breezy, beautiful. Everything's ready to go right here. I think it's the color palette just feels very spring-like, and it's a cardigan. I'll get to it, but this is not going to be finished by the end of the year. That's okay. That's fine. We're fine with that. The other thing that is now on its 3rd year, and I just keep bringing it out for my accountability WIP downs, why can't I finish this beautiful shawl, which has a very similar color palette. No one's going to be surprised. It's so pretty. This is the Satellite shawl by, oh, I should tell what the yarn was for this. Excuses, sorry. This is Magpie Fibers Nest in a really pretty colorway that I always forget the name of. I think it might just be Magpie. Is that right? Sorry team. Yeah. Twilight Magpie. So good. And I'm holding it with the most stunning variegated yarn I've ever encountered from A Verb for Keeping Warm. This is called some Bay Bridge or something, Marine Layer, yeah. But I don't even want to tell you, it's so luxe. It's cashmere silk and super fine alpaca, and it's just amazing. Let me get that. Come on, buddy. There. Excuse my ugly nails. They're so grown out. Okay. It looks so good. Okay. So we're doing yarns, obviously. This is Verb for Keeping Warm, and the name of it is Floating. I've used Floating a couple different times. I love it. It's incredible. And it looks so good. Floating, and the color is Marine Layer. They do still have some Marine Layer left, I think. I'm not sure about it in Floating, but they do have some in their sport weight yarn, I believe. Anyway, that's this. Thank you for letting me go back to correct myself. Satellite shawl is more, this is also a kit from A Verb for Keeping Warm. If you don't know about A Verb for Keeping Warm, they're just so lovely. Their products are so amazing. Incredible dye studio, local to me in Berkeley. And this is their Satellite shawl kit, which has their fluff. Is that right? Yes. And La Bien-Aimé's main is the main color. And their fluff is called Frond, which is such a beautiful idea. It's like a fern frond. Oh, so poetic. I don't know, guys. it's gotta get done. It's going to get done. It's gotta get done. I think it's the brioche sections that are like turning me off, but they shouldn't, because once I get going on them, I quite enjoy them. They're really fun. But yeah, this is also not gonna be done before the end of the year, and that's fine. Frankly, I'm fine taking as long as I want with this. One of these days, I will turn around and say, you, satellite shawl, this is your day. Today's not that day. So, it's quite a bit on my needles. But those are the only things on my needles that are like, I don't know, how do I say this? They're all active-ish, but where my creativity and most focus is going right now is definitely to my self-drafted sweater, my first sweater pattern. I think I'm just gonna call it the curator sweater, because part of the reason I wanted to design my own sweater is so that I could lift my arms way above my head and not have this happen. I love Petite Knit, I love this design, I'm gonna wear it all the time, but I won't be able to wear it to the gallery because when I reach up and point at something like this, you can see the edge of the sweater is almost at my bra line. So that's not gonna work out. I wanted to design a sweater where I felt like I was gonna be very professional and I could work and move in it, and also that fit me very well in the shoulders. So I have 2 of these going. The first, I just have to finish the sleeves on, and I'm really excited about this. This was the experiment. I'm very lucky to have 2 small people or smaller people getting bigger every single day, who live in my house and who like to wear sweaters and love their knitwear. And so I designed the very first the first draft of the construction, particularly for how I wanted the sleeve caps and shoulders to work in this really Mondo thick combination in a bright, bright red for my little guy who loves his bright red and loves his very thick, warm sweaters. So I'm almost done with one sleeve. I have the other sleeve to go. This is just kind of my mindless knitting, and I'm really excited to have that done before Christmas, because I have a lot of downtime this week. So I'm gonna polish this off for him. And then where we're gonna spend a little bit of time is getting into my sample, which is in a very lily color, but how could I not? This is called Personal Space. It's 1 strand of Sonder Yarns Sport Luxe, and it is so nice. It's a Masham and cashmere blend, and it is so, so, so beautiful. And 1 strand of their mohair. I think everyone knows how amazing the Sonder mohair is because it's so drapey and it has such a beautiful sheen to it, and it just, there's no prickle. Like, there's nothing. Like, I don't know if they remove maybe some of the kind of tougher hairs before hers are done. I don't know, but it is very different and unique, and I love it, and I'm obsessed. The other thing I love and that I'm obsessed about is the way this sweater has worked out. So I'm not sure how legible it's gonna be, but I'm just gonna get into it. So I'm designing this sweater. The rough draft was in the kids version. This is definitely the next kind of level to that. And one of the reasons is that I've been able to get this two stitch construction just right on for this shoulder line, which I'm really, really, really loving. So the way the construction works is you knit the back panel, but unlike a drop shoulder where you would just kind of attach the front all the way down past the shoulder and maybe maybe you'd add some short rows here to kind of build this out and give yourself more space there. What I want is something that's quite fitted along this line. And so what you do in the curator sweater pattern is you actually attach a shoulder band. The band on each side comes directly down before you connect for the collar, or the front rather. And as those strips kind of come down, they go up and over the shoulder, and then you add your shoulder cap coming around this way. So it's really shaped fairly close to your body, which means there's less positive ease in the shoulder than in the rest of the garment. And for me, that's like the fit I want most. And something that I've done and what you've probably seen in other episodes, where I will knit a different size for the shoulders of some patterns than I will for the rest of the body. So anyway, once you've got those strips done and you have kind of gotten everything put together, all you're really doing is a raglan. There's a little bit of back and forth on the front, but not much. Then you're putting all your stitches on one circular needle, and you're able to make your increases just like you would a raglan sweater. And so for folks who are maybe like not great or not as interested in seaming, like me, for example, very uninterested in seaming, real big turn off for me. This is a great way to get a set in sleeve type garment without actually doing some of that work. So it's fitting. There's a crazy picture that I still kind of can't believe I posted on Instagram of me a few days ago with it like actually fitting over my shoulder. Maybe I'll put that in here just so you can see my nutty face and my like pure joy and excitement. That was also right after I got my numbers just like right on where I anticipated they would be. I talked about this a little bit in the last episode, but basically I did the little dude's shoulder construction of that, and then based on those numbers I did some math for the gauge, very different gauge that I'm knitting this at. This is a 20 stitch gauge, and based on those numbers I knew where I wanted to go, right? And so this was what for me is really working in this kind of how to write a pattern mode I'm in, is I do the work and then I kind of write out what I anticipate the numbers should be and where like I want the directions to go, and then I follow my own directions to try to get there. And so far for me it's been very, very helpful because it's still very process oriented. If I need to make any changes I can, but I know when I hit something, like I'm right on. So it's almost like I have this little internal check before. The internal check works both in terms of like conceptually what it should be, and then also practically when I'm, you know, putting on the garment, does it work, does it fit? So you get those two checks going on. So that's the garment. It's a little like hard to imagine right now, but you can start to see everything take shape. The cables that go down the front, I just did a simple twist for my little guy, but you have so many more stitches at this gauge that we're able to get this really pretty braid that comes all the way down, and this will come all the way down to the end of the armhole. And yeah, I'm kind of off to the races. And like I said, I'm loving how you have this kind of marriage of the two stitches coming together, both on your back panel shoulder, and then it comes out, and then when your raglan starts, it also is two stitches. So it really continues. It's like this line, this beautiful shoulder line is just gonna continue all the way down until the sleeve starts, and then it's mirrored on the front with the two stitches that you get before your cable on this side. So basically it's like framing your shoulders, and I think it's gonna look really elegant. I'm pretty excited about it. The other thing that I am like obsessed with is the drape of this yarn and this garment. There's so much movement, there's so much flow. Sorry, we're getting some packages delivered. That's the thing about being downstairs. It's like where all the action is. Anyway, I think you can tell from my face and my voice and my like general demeanor just how thrilled and excited I am about this project. It's like truly bringing me life. I'm really, really happy about it. So should not have looked down on that. I'm really happy about it. And I just have to keep trucking along. I think I'm gonna be splitting for sleeves really soon. I have like 10 more rows, is that right? Yeah, 10 more rows. And then we'll be there. And there'll be another moment of truth because, again, gauge is king, fit is queen, unless you're finished. And then fit is king and gauge is queen. But they're both rulers, right? We have these two rulers in our knitting. And so the next step after the split for sleeves is going to be some short rows for bust shaping, because one of the things that I think is really important in terms of fit equity is to ensure fairly consistent ease throughout the size range, and that means providing bust shaping where appropriate or desired. I'm very excited to say I'm also going to be knitting a less gendered, I guess, version of this sweater. I'm going to make one for my husband as well. And in his version, I think I will also, you know, see if there's any fit issues that need to be tweaked for the dims. But based on the charts I've looked at, I actually think we'll just be straight on. And so having the bust shaping in there does mean that folks can really play with their own desired outcome based on their own body shape. And so there's less mystery, I'm hoping, a little bit less guesswork involved too, and like, you know, cross my fingers and hope. Hopefully, if you're getting gauge and I can give you the measurements that we can expect, and of course this is all will all come out in the test knit, I hope that people can have more confidence in their size selection so that they know something's going to fit them in all the different dimensions of their body. So the math for the bust shaping is not unclear, but it's definitely, because I haven't done it and most sweaters that I've knit have not offered it. It is something that I actually want to, like, the math works, but I really want to do the action and make sure that the writing of it is just crystal clear so that it matches the outcome really well too. So yeah, the curator sweater is happening, and it's funny, it's not hard knitting at all. It's very intuitive and like fun, but there's something different about this kind of making because it's so, I'm paying attention to so many different things at the same time, and it's making me really excited about that part, and I love working that part of my brain. And it's also just making me feel so grateful for all of the incredible designers whose patterns I have knit, and just being the confidence that I have in them is something that I really want to like honor. You know, one of the things that I told all of my testers for the beginner's welcome hat was, you know, thank you for not even just the testers, every knitter, like sharing your time and bringing your talent to this thing. Like there's just something so next level about that process. And so when you're the one who's kind of in it, you really realize what a different set of intentions and attention that drafting requires. So it's definitely taken longer. I expected sleeves on both of the red sweaters in my queue, mine and Luke's, my son's. So I'm really not like thrilled with myself. I really thought I'd be done with both of those, but I think that it's good to just kind of give a little bit of time and space and appreciation for the work that was going into this that wasn't practical knitting, right? It's still unfortunately, I still only have the same hours in the day that I did before. But it's a lot more time spent before I can move on to the next section of this garment, because it is, it has to be right for me and also be right for the pattern writing. So there we go. I think that's the best I can do. Giving you a little sneakity peek, and I love it. It's so fun. I'm feeling really grateful. Yeah, very grateful for this process and this practice and for you all. So that's it. That's the WIP Down. New Year plotting and planning. I alluded to this earlier, but I'm missing my color work. Not for whatever reason, I can't get stoked or ready or super excited about the mosaic pressed flowers right now. So what I want is your favorite Colorwork sweater, and I'm missing my spin cycle. I have some beautiful spin cycle colors that are just sitting there taunting me. They're ready to be knit, and I don't know what I should do. So it does not have to be a pattern that was designed in spin cycle. I should make that very clear. I would be interested and excited in something else. It could be a yoke. It could be all over. I would prefer it to be stranded rather than mosaic, because if I'm knitting mosaic, I really got to finish those sleeves. Let's be honest. But I would, just pop your favorite Colorwork, stranded Colorwork sweater pattern down below. The porcelain sweater in Nutidin is something that is like high on the charts for me. That would be a fun New Year's Day cast on. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm loving this idea of doing something with spin cycle though. I need that dopamine hit of different color changes that I'm not really in charge of. Of course I will be though, because I'll micromanage my color always, but I can be in the flow of. How's that? So yeah, that's what I'd really like to do in 2025 and see how that goes. Now I am going to share some of my favorite knitting podcasts. And again, these are just like, I went through my subscriptions and like the things that I had favorited, and this is where we are. It's kind of a lot. So let me get my notes, one moment. Here, I'm just gonna bring this up. Okay, so what are the things that make a podcast really fun for me to watch? First of all, obviously the projects this is all knitting related content, right? The projects that people choose, the type of yarns that people like to work with, and then a kind of sense of friendliness, I think is important to me. And also, I think there's all of these folks that I'm going to mention are people who I feel that I guess friendliness really kind of is it. Like, one of the reasons that we set up these cameras and talk to no one in the room about our knitting is that sense of shared community. And so all of these folks really bring that intentionality, I think, to what they're doing. So yeah, and like I said, some of them will be like very obvious and you'll be like, yes, duh. And some of them might be new to you. So I hope that I'm sharing some folks that you can go check out. I have a friend who calls the week in between Christmas and New Year's horizontal time. So if you have any horizontal time, this would also be a good moment to engage with this. So first we're gonna start with App Atelier, who is a knitter based in Seattle. And I really, really love her content. She recently had a little babe and she is knitting some really sweet baby knits and has for the past year or so. She's a really intentional knitter who uses fibers that I sometimes hadn't heard of and are new to me. And the other thing that I really appreciate, I started watching her content when she started something about Fix It Fall, encouraging people to repair or modify knits that they had already completed and go back, like something that you didn't wear because I'm looking at myself, cuffs are too tight. You know, I have a great sweater that I love and I just really need to fix those cuffs. So I really love that intention of like, you've already done all the hard work. Like, what can you do to really perfect the sweater now that it's finished to make sure you wear it? And I just really loved that intention. Penrose Knits with Laura Penrose, aka I started watching her when it was called the Knitting Pickle, and I really appreciate the way that she integrates her her mental health journey throughout what she's talking about. I think that she does it in a really thoughtful way. I also, it's like the only Vlogmas that I watched. She like completely spoiled me. I thought that's not true. There's another Vlogmas I watched. We'll talk about it later. And like, it kind of spoiled me because I thought all Vlogmases would be just as lovely. But she's very special, and I'm sure you're probably familiar with her. Anna from Brook Willow is based, I think, in Wisconsin. Is that right? Sorry, Anna, if that's wrong. And she's delightful. She really makes me wish that I was had more time and could do more different kinds of fiber arts. Her spinning is really beautiful, and also her sewing is lovely, and I absolutely love the way she styles her knits and her sewn garments. I really love that. I think she has a beautiful aesthetic, and I really enjoy her energy as well. Chelsea at the Sunday Knitting Society is so bubbly and like thoughtful and makes really fun things, and she's super consistent in her output. And also I could just stare at her yarn wall behind her like all day. It is the most beautiful thing. She has these gorgeous shelves and they're just stacked with super colorful yarn. I love the colors that she chooses, and she's not afraid of color. And yeah, I highly recommend that one as well. Another society is Alex in Australia. She has the Serenity Knitting Society. She hasn't uploaded in a while, but I just love her voice, and again, her kind of real intentionality around the craft and the choices that she makes, and highly recommend that. Another person who hasn't posted recently, but Stitches in Starlight was a huge, like, so much fun. If you haven't watched her backlog of catalog, definitely jump on and check it out. She's amazing, and she made me actually understand what spinning was. I mean, I've never actually done it, but like, she's the one who actually talked about spinning from a very like practical standpoint. Like, this is what you're doing, this is why. And so after watching her content, I was able to actually watch other people talk about spinning and know what they were talking about. So big ups. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love Stitches in Starlight. Inga from Knitting Traditions was the very first knitting podcast that I think I ever watched. She and Gentle Knitter are the first knitting podcast that I ever saw on YouTube. I came across them because they came up after I was looking up how to do something. So like, I had searched for a knitting tutorial, and then both A Gentle Knitter and Knitting Traditions came up, and I didn't know what a knitting podcast was, and I watched both of those podcasts, and very clearly it changed my life. So thank you so much to Inga and to Nicole, which is a really nice segue actually, because I was trying to kind of make a few notes in terms of how I wanted to talk about the Gentle Knitter, which probably had the largest influence on my making of anyone. She's no longer posting at this particular moment, but as I was looking at her old channel, or at her channel, a video popped up that uploaded 2 days ago, and it was an interview with her and the Fiber Trek podcast. And so she was just, it was so, I mean, it's so odd to say because I've never met this person in person, but it was so wonderful to see her and to hear her gorgeous voice as she talked about some projects. And she did say that she was going to be returning to YouTube in the future, and that just kind of made my week. It was so delightful to hear. She's had some health struggles that kept her from podcasting and have impeded some of her making, but just seeing her was just such a balm, and I'm so excited. If you haven't watched her older episodes, please go do it. Like, do yourself a favor, go check them out. They're lovely. She has some beautiful atmospheric footage that's really moving and beautiful as well, and it's all done so artfully and yeah, just full of beauty and of life. So thank you so much to Nicole for the work that she does in this world. It's so lovely. So they're the folks who introduced me to what YouTube knitting podcasts were. But the person who made me think that I could do it is Amy Palco from The Meaningful Stitch. She said in one of her early episodes, you know, something about like how everyone could, you know, do this, and we were all talking to each other. And I mean, that was the first time where I thought, okay, so that means me. That means me. Okay, I can do this. And so from that moment on, I've always loved her episodes and her content, and she has some absolutely just insane technical, beautiful makes. The shawl wall, I mean, come on, stunning. And getting to meet her in person at Rhinebeck in 2023 was like total dream come true. I'm lucky to be able to interact with her sometimes, and I really just love her content, and I love the way she presents the work that she does in the world. It's just so lovely. And then another Edinburghian, that's wrong. There's a proper word for folks who live in Edinburgh, but I don't know what it is right now. Sorry, apologies. Rebecca Clove, the Creabea. Working with Rebecca as a tester has been so fabulous. I learned so much from her, and I got to kind of know her pattern making and her work as a designer through her podcast, which is lovely. And I think her thoughts around fit have also been really influential on me, and I really very much appreciate them. I also love the project planning videos from those twins who knit. There's lots of folks out there who do like seasonal plans, like what I'm going to make in XYZ season, and I think theirs are really, really excellent. And they do kind of like more of a recap, and they talk really specifically about what their plans are. It's not just like, oh, I've never knit this, like this is pretty, this is pretty. Like they actually have a plan, they think about it. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen, but I just really think the way they present their plans is thoughtful and courteous and engaging and fun. And then another that I just love is Emily from The Botanical Knitter. She has just, I think, a great perspective on yarn and making and engagement, and it's just lovely. And she also is doing a Vlogmas this year, and it's the other Vlogmas that I watch, and it's super fun. I really like her energy. She seems great. And then of course I couldn't not say, and I will have to end with Carmen and Jackie from Knitting a Good Yarn, who I came across because they were knitting with Nutidin, and I was knitting with Nutidin, and I found out about Nutidin from the Gentle Knitter. So it's all coming full circle, and they had such a like lovely demeanor. And then I started doing their knit along, And because of that, I met my friend Megan, who lives here, and it's just like a real friendship that I'm so honored by and delighted to have in my life. So in this season, which for me, the very best part is how we can be intentional with our appreciation. I would just like to say thank you to all of these creators. As I said, I'm sure I have missed many, but these are the folks that first came to mind when I was kind of jotting down who I wanted to talk about and mention, and I'm really kind of beyond honored and feel really grateful to be in this space with you all as viewers, and I hope that you'll share the love and check out some of the other folks if they are new to you. Everyone's channel is linked in the description box below, so you can go and check them out right away. What else? Okay, I guess I'm gonna put this down. Let me think if there's anything else pressing. I guess not. Wow. 2024 was a doozy. This was a crazy year. Lots of things that were unexpected. Lots of input. I feel like I was receiving a lot. And I'm really interested in how that all kind of flows through into 2025. And I'm so delighted that I got a chance to sit down and chat again before the end of the year. I will be doing a final WIP roundup when everything is complete. When the year completes, that actually reminds me, there's a great exercise called completing and reflecting that I like to do at the end of every year. I don't think I did it last year though, but I think I will this year. But it's this idea of kind of closure and reflection before kind of thinking forward, and I think that would be very helpful for me right now. I hope you're well. I am going to pass it off. I'm a little nervous. I don't know what the vlog is going to be like because I haven't made it yet. So anyway, it will either be like a random like slideshow of Christmas stuff, or I'll have actually put something a little more meaningful together. I'm not sure which it will be, so you can stick around. It will be short. And I hope you have such an amazing close to the year. I hope it comes in gently for you. I hope that whatever you're embarking on next is filling you with awe and engagement and excitement. And thank you for spending your time, sharing your time with me, putting yourself out into the world with everything that you make every day. The world is a better place because you're doing that. Thank you again, and I'll see you next year. Bye. So I have just finished the school run. It is a super rainy morning. My little guy did not want to get out of the car and drop off his sister because he didn't want to get soaked in the rain. But we made it back, and I have a really chill morning today. I'm going to be working on my sweater pattern. I'm going to be kind of consolidating and picking up and getting our life a little bit more in order before the weekend. And yeah, I'm gonna start by cleaning up the breakfast and lunch making mess, which is my kitchen. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I guess this is vlogging. Here we go.
set up for the day of pattern writing. I have some yoga to go to, and then I will be actually heading to our favorite pizza place to pick up some pizza for the kids and us, and it's going to be a great end of the week. Here we go.
Sing a love song while we stroll along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman.
This is June's Pizza, and they're fabulous. They started working out of a shipping container, I think maybe illegally during the pandemic, and they got their act together and have this fabulous setup now in West Oakland, and they have the most incredible pizzas you've ever had. The one we got was this incredible sausage and persimmon, and here you can see them grating fresh Parmesan over the hot pizzas, and they melt, and they're rocking out with a great playlist too. Such a fun end to the week. And Saturday saw me back at the gallery and the show of Anoka Faruqi and David Driscoll. We had a reception for Yale University there for folks on the West Coast associated with Yale, and the artist gave a great talk, and this is kind of what one of our gallery events looks like.
We'll say I already, we'll say no man, but you can do the job.
Other great events included our favorite things party with my girlfriends, where my watch kept alerting me that we were being way too loud because we were laughing so incredibly hard. We had the school's winter showcase, which was just delightful. We saw Santa, and of course I got the chance to talk to you guys about my knitting. So glad you're here. Happy holidays!